Happy Easter, Payne County. I'm Father Brian O'Brien. Welcome to Pastors of Payne. It's a weekly radio show and podcast of two priests in Payne County, just trying to do the Lord's will in this Easter season, just trying to extend the resurrection a little further.
Christ is risen.
He is risen indeed. Welcome, everyone. We're glad you're listening, whether on the radio or as a podcast. Hey, go and leave a 5-star review of our podcast. And I'm saying that because every other podcast I listen to says that. And so apparently something happens.
Mm-hmm. Give it a thumbs up.
When 5-star reviews
Subscribe.
are left. I have no idea what happens. But anyway, go ahead and do that. Father Kerry is not with us today. His uncle died. And so we had actually planned today to have a rip-roaring discussion, mostly about his sabbatical, which threw some people for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
The number one question I get about Father Kerry after the sabbatical was announced, so he's going to be gone June and July. And the question I get is Father Kerry okay? So just to let you know, Father Kerry is just fine. And in fact, he's having a great week because this Saturday is the dedication of the new St. John's, which is a minor miracle. Anyway, so Father Kerry is just fine. One of our other friends, Father Jack Gleason, is also taking a sabbatical. He's also fine. And so we're at some point we're going to do a show about why sabbaticals don't mean that
it's not a leave of absence.
That something's wrong.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to build a sabbatical culture in the Diocese of Tulsa. Anyway, we'll cover that at some other point. Today, my friends, I am joined by your seminarian and mine, Kyle Doud. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show, Kyle.
Thanks.
So Kyle is leaving soon.
May 21st, last Sunday.
If you might remember, so Kyle's been around. So Kyle's from Enid. So St. Francis Xavier is his home parish, not because he's from Enid, but because he didn't grow up Catholic. You can go back and listen to his whole story on a previous podcast. But Kyle has been around with us at Christmas and Holy Week, but he's also been around the whole last year.
Mm-hmm.
So you moved in June, early June.
June 1st of
June 1st, 2022, and is going to be with us all the way through May, the weekend of May 20th and 21st. That'll be his last weekend. So what I wanted to do was to sort of let you all hear how the year was. We can talk about that. But then also like what's next, where are you going, what's happening in the life of Seminarian Kyle Doud. So maybe take us back through the year, day by day. Let's go back to June 1st, 2000. No. Give us, if you would, just, so you've been here 11, it'll be 12, straight up 12 months.
Yeah.
It'll be 51 weeks.
Oh, man. It's a lot to go over in 30 minutes.
What do you, and we're like 5 minutes in already.
Yeah, 25 minutes.
What are your big takeaways from spending a year in a parish? And these can be negative also, by the way.
Right.
This is a full access show.
Mostly negative. No, I'm kidding.
This is Kyle's opportunity to publicly
Is it already time for the airing of grievances?
Tell us what's wrong with us. So anyway, looking back, what like kind of big themes?
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time here working with with youth and people becoming Catholic, like the RCIA program, which is really good. A lot of chances to stretch my legs with catechesis, of teaching things that I've learned both in seminary and in focus missions. And I think one of my favorite opportunities for that was during we had that 7-week Bible study series.
Yes.
What was that called again?
On the Covenants.
The Covenants, yeah. 7 times God swore.
Yeah.
And kind of before, every night of that, I would lead a 15-minute prayer catechesis.
I forgot about that.
I actually completely forgot about that until literally.
That's a good
now.
sign when there's a lot has happened, and
Mhm.
therefore, so many things that like they don't immediately all come to mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I loved that both because
And you were like the leader of
Yeah.
prayer for 50,
For-
75 people.
yeah, teaching people how to pray, and not that people don't know like how to, walk into a church, but I think we underestimate how like we forget a lot of the fundamentals. I'm sure it's the same with like I know for me with like music, it's a similar way, like singing. We a lot of times in college we would go over like the really really basic fundamentals of like voice control, how to shape your mouth for certain syllables, how to even like position your body, your
A
diaphragm.
little
And I'm
back
sure
to
it's
the basics.
yeah, I'm sure it's similar for, basketball, wrestling, like sports like that. Um, and so that's what I was really trying to do in that series was like how do you make the presence of God? Like how do you when you go to pray, your first step should be to put yourself in God's presence. So we're just going to spend 15 minutes doing that, and other kinds of things like that. And it was really beautiful. And I think the best part was that it culminated in leading people in night prayer, like solemn with like the Eucharist exposed, and it's just like a really
I remember
beautiful
that.
night.
That
Yeah,
was awesome.
it was so cool. So yeah, leading people in prayer, catechizing. Other highlights, I think Steubenville back in
Oh,
back
yeah.
in July.
July
Man,
2022.
long time ago, but that was really good. There was one like as I was prepping for this, like there was one beautiful moment from that stuck out of like there was a talk where one of the speakers asked all of the priests in the audience to stand up and to like turn to their kids that gathered
Yeah,
up
I
and like
remember that.
extend their hands over their kids as this like speaker led a group prayer. And it was really beautiful seeing like you standing up and then all of these other priests kind of dotted. We were up like high in the arena.
Yeah, we were up in the top.
So we had a good vantage point of all these priests standing around. It was a real like powerful moment of seeing fatherhood, spiritual fatherhood, like the authority that was on display there, but an authority of love, like which is what authority is meant for, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that was really beautiful.
That's awesome.
Other good things. Anyway, I think we've talked about it in the past before, but like the this old couple that we've been visiting. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast.
I don't think we have. So I'll give a little background.
Sure.
So we got a call back in the fall from a hospice chaplain, which happens, and sometimes these are people that we know and they've entered into hospice care, which means they're dying or they have some terminal illness, and so a lot of times it happens where we don't know the person at all. Maybe they grew up Catholic and are looking, they want a priest or they just want somebody to talk to. So we got to this call and it said there's this woman wanted a visit from a priest. So I looked at the name. I didn't know the name. I looked her up in our system when, not registered, okay, that's fine. And so it was an evening where Kyle and Father Healy and I were going to go out to dinner.
In Perkins.
In Perkins. We were going to go to Perkins.
Significant because this person, this family, like lives on the way to
Perkins.
Perkins.
Kind of on the outskirts of Stillwater towards Perkins. So I said, all right, well, let's do this. Let's go. We'll go visit all three of us.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be, a bonus for her, all these, not just one of us, get all three.
Yeah.
So all three of us, and then we'll go to dinner. So we walk in, the three of us. So it's me, Father Healy, and Kyle. And Kyle is a seminarian. It looks like a priest. I mean, and that's part of seminary formation. You can wear clerics as a looking like a priest.
Bring your kid to work day.
Yeah, exactly. And so we walk in to the home of this individual, and they. This woman is there by herself in the home and invites us in, and so we're standing
Very
there
friendly.
and we're talking to her, and she's on oxygen and all kinds of stuff. Well, then a few minutes after, her husband walks in, and he doesn't know that we're coming, and so all he sees is three guys dressed like priests, like in his house, in his living room, talking to his wife. Well, he was not too pleased to see us.
A little rattled.
Kind of grabbed for his belt a little bit. Maybe he was packing. Well, anyway, all that was sort of diffused, and friendships were made. Enemies became friends. Friends became enemies. And what that led to, I'll let Kyle finish
Yeah.
the story. What that led to was really something quite beautiful.
Yeah, so we got connected with them, and they came and visited our church one day got a little tour. And I mean, when they walked in, they were just blown away
Yeah.
by the church. I think it's just
I don't think they had ever been in any Catholic church.
Yeah, and I think we take for granted maybe at our parish like how beautiful our church is.
I do.
I mean, we definitely recognize it's beautiful, but I mean, just go into any like. I mean, I remember growing up, the churches that I went to, and they were not beautiful. Like that was
were
not
functional.
Yeah, they're functional,
Yep.
but beauty was not considered a function of the church. Like growing up, and so for them to walk in, it was overwhelming in a good way. And pretty much instantly they wanted to become Catholic, both because the church was so beautiful, but then when they would come to Mass and interact with people, they were struck by how kind everybody was.
People were hospitable.
Yeah, very hospitable.
Yeah, we talk about that. I mean, I feel like I talk about it all the time, but like, it makes a difference.
Huge difference. And it
when you
think
smile and when you're joyful and
Yeah.
when people feel like you care,
Mhm.
and they should feel like you care because you actually care.
Yeah.
But that hospitality goes a long way, and it did with this family.
And I don't think it was even anything like super deep necessarily.
No, we didn't. It wasn't.
Like they came on Sunday and like they came to Mass and had those kinds of interactions and then left. And even just that, like the kindness that they saw from that, said like you people are awesome. We want to be Catholic.
We want to be like you.
Now the issue is for them, like they're homebound. At least the wife was homebound, and so coming on Tuesday nights to a class for an hour and a half to 2 hours is like every night is kind of not really that feasible for them. So I would go over there on Wednesdays throughout this year, starting in like September or so, and pretty much every Wednesday would go and just catechize or just hang out for about an hour, and kind of gradually learned more about them and just kind of where they were at, what kind of catechesis they needed, and
But I'll say this. Let me jump in. So
Yeah.
what the way this happened was after we visited, she said, "Hey, I'd really like you all to visit again." So I just shot a little email to the group, to Father Healy and to Kyle and to myself of like, how do we want to do this? And Kyle responded back and said, "I'll go."
Mhm.
And it was basically, I think I said like, somebody should be going on a regular basis.
Right.
And Kyle said, "I'll go."
Yeah.
And didn't have to. That could have been, as like a seminarian, you could have said, "Oh man, I don't know what I'm doing," or "I don't know, this isn't my."
Still true.
These
but
aren't
yeah.
my people. I'm out of here in a year.
Mhm.
There could have been all kinds of reasons to just ignore the email and say, "Oh, I'm sure the priest can handle that." But you said, yeah, and really not knowing what you were
Yeah.
getting into.
There were a lot of unknowns.
Because then, I mean, really, every Wednesday for
Yeah.
7 months, 8 months,
Mm-hmm.
driving out there, sitting in their home,
Mm-hmm.
and sharing the faith
Yeah.
with
And
them.
what it finally led to was just what I was kind of one of the highlights of the year. Honestly, it was so her health kind of took a turn in the last couple of months, and to a point where when we heard about it, we said, okay, we should get this baptism thing done like quick. And so we went over to their house, into their living room, and celebrated Mass on a card table, with this like they've got this like 18-year-old dog that like can't see or hear or anything. It's
Bumping into
like
stuff.
like underneath the altar. It was just crazy. But we baptized and confirmed and gave them First Holy Communion in their living room.
Both
And
of them.
Both of them, yeah.
Yep.
And what struck me so much was like watching them being baptized and just like realizing like these people that I've been with for 7 months are now different people.
New creations.
They're a new creation. It's like not, and that's not just something like pious or pretty to say. Like they're not the same person
Yeah.
anymore.
Their sins have been forgiven.
Yeah, they are a new creation. They're temples of the Holy Spirit.
It's amazing, and I it's something I like about us as a parish, that like, you know, that phone call comes in, and we're responsive to it. You know, okay, this person, and we could have all the things you can do, right? You could have just said, no, they're not. I don't see them registered.
Right.
I'm sorry, we won't be able to come, or we're very busy. Oh, they're not Catholic. Oh, well, we only help Catholics. That could have been one, but we didn't. We went and we visited to kind of assess the situation, and then the sort of the next step up was Kyle saying, "I'll go," and then actually going. Because that's the other part, is you can be like, "Oh man, I got a lot going on. It's all the way out there," but you did it. Anyway, it was cool. I will concur in Kyle's that was, I think, a highlight of the year. Yeah, just to be there. And so when someone is baptized, whether as a baby, they have a godparent, and if you're an adult, you have what we just call a sponsor. Well, their sponsor was Kyle Doud. So like on their baptismal certificate, there's, you know, their names and Kyle Doud.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Cool.
Okay, what else? What else comes to mind? This is fun. This is a little retrospective.
Do you remember when we had like Scott Hahn?
Oh yeah, Scott Hahn was here. That was fun.
Like he ate dinner like right behind me, or like right over there.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
If he becomes a saint, our table.
Does that make this rectory a third-class relic?
We could put up a plaque. Scott Hahn visited here, and
just like at the cathedral where they have the Mother Teresa.
Yeah, where she
plaque.
sat.
Mother Teresa was right here.
Sat here.
People love that.
People love that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was pretty cool. And then Dr. Bergsma.
And John Bergsma came.
Sister Carolyn Nunes.
Oh yeah, lots of visitors.
What I loved about that, I was just thinking about that.
George Nab.
Yeah. I wasn't here for that one.
Oh, I
forget why I was gone, but what I loved about those three in particular coming, it reminds me a lot of like at seminary, you get a lot of speakers coming in for retreats or conferences, and it was nice to be at a parish where the effort was made to like bring people in to do that.
Yes.
You know, Father Pratt coming in for talks. Yeah, I mean, Scott Hahn, Dr. Bergsma, like those are just
big time
powerhouses in the Catholic Church.
Yep.
But then also like there was something to chew on, like something spiritual to chew on from all three of those that I was there for. Yeah.
That's awesome. What's been like the hardest thing?
Yeah. What's really interesting as I was praying about that is that there aren't a whole lot of like large moments from this year that I could identify as like big low points, and I think that's significant because I'm sure there were moments where in the moment I said, this is the worst, like why am I here?
Yeah.
I should just, you know,
and despair or desolation.
And so what's significant is like looking back, I look back and I say like I don't really remember any of those things, so like I guess it's good for me in the future and for anybody listening to remember like, yeah, in the moment it's bad, and there's no shame in admitting that it's bad. But afterwards, looking back at this year, I don't see it as a series of like rough moments.
Yeah.
You know, I see a lot of the good things. I will say the one exception of that is mile 20 on the Three Hearts pilgrimage. That was a definite low moment.
I forgot about that you went on that.
That was. Yeah, that's a low that will never go away.
You almost passed out, or you?
No,
or you had a blister or something. Didn't you?
We just gave up. Jackson and I just said we're done.
Oh, now you're throwing Jackson under the bus.
Well, okay, yeah. We may have. It was a group effort at giving up.
Wow.
In hindsight, there were several things I could have done that would have been a little bit better. But it was still really fun.
What did you learn about the priesthood?
Ooh.
Because the fun part about this assignment, I don't know if this is the fun part. See, it would seem to be fun. Kyle lives with 4 priests, each of whom are pretty different.
Mm-hmm.
So Father Carey and I are kind of same age, same generation. Father Healy and Father Porter, same age, generation. But all 4 of us, very different temperaments, personalities, ways of organizing our life and going about ministry and preaching.
Yeah.
Was that like confusing, or was that like enriching,
A little. It was
or a little of
yeah,
or a little of
a
everything?
little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It was. I think. I've learned that a lot of things that I thought weren't. That I thought were. That I guess that I things that I didn't think were strengths, I'm now recognizing are. And the thing that's coming to mind specifically with that is like work ethic. I think whether it was from somewhere in my formation as a person in the last like 7 years or so, I picked up this like false dichotomy between spirituality and work, if that makes sense, and productivity.
Sure.
And I think there's several reasons for that, like that false dichotomy between those two things. And what I've learned this year, there's a great quote, I forget who said it, some poet said like, work is love made visible.
Oh.
Work is love made visible. So yes, there's like the relationship with Christ and like the prayer life is like fundamental
Sure.
and foundational.
Yep.
But then like that has to translate out into love and into work. And so things like you were talking about, like organize a way of organizing life and finding your system and finding a groove and just getting stuff done. That's like if that is used as a supplement, or not as a supplement, if that's used as a replacement for a relationship with God, that's a crutch replacement for intimacy with God or with people, then that's bad.
My prayer is my work.
Yeah, bad.
Oh, good.
Um,
Or my work is my prayer.
yeah, all of the above.
Also bad.
Yeah, my work is my work and my prayer is my prayer.
Yeah,
but they're related. They're related.
Yeah,
They
and at
flow out
some
of each
point,
other.
like faith. I mean, faith and works, and
Mhm.
there has to faith without works is dead. Or so there has to be like a manifestation of, you can say like I love you, but then like if you don't return their email, or you don't call them
Yeah.
back, or you don't show up for the time that you said you were going to meet somebody,
Mhm.
that can come across as the
Yeah.
opposite of what you actually. I love you, and I want to help you, but
Yeah,
I'm
and
going to
all
make
of
it really difficult for you to get a hold of me.
yeah, and all of
know?
those examples are like they're examples of another choice being made. Say like, well, I love you, but in this instance, your email and communicating with you is just it's less important to me than this YouTube video that I'm watching, or this the simple comfort of just not opening my inbox or whatnot,
Yeah.
or not responding to that.
And I think when you, in our house, I mean, there's been 5 of us here all year, and there's like ups and downs in that. And like you get,
Yeah.
like, I think I'll just put words in Kyle's mouth. Like there's times where I'm sure he's like annoyed of like, oh, another this thing, or oh gosh, O'Brien, like you're just so this or that, and like, and in some ways that's like all part of it. To like, I think you've seen the humanity of the 4 of us, in the good times. We have good times sitting in this very living room in which we sit, and at the dinner table, and and then there's times when we're like tired and frustrated and sick, or overwhelmed, or sad, or and just all those things that I think a lot of times, not in a bad way, but like our people don't
just don't see
that, because you can kind of like, all right, I just got to get through the day, but then when I get home, like I'm gonna
let it all out.
and this can be, so anyway, so I think you've seen I was going to say like the dark side of the priesthood, but that I don't mean it that way, but like the
humanity.
The humanity, yeah.
Because I think one thing that made it better was like knowing, like seeing the goodness of your priesthood and of the other 4 guys that are here, and just saying like these guys, no matter what I see at the rectory, like or whatever, like they really love Jesus and they really love their people.
Yep.
And so that's been really beautiful. I'd say like the dark side of the priesthood is more like and I'm not saying this about here necessarily, but when I see priests that are more complaining, like and it's not coming from this spot of like, I love these people, and they're just really like not receiving that, but it's more like these people, I don't love them, and
They're
I
so
just
annoying.
yeah, like those kinds of experiences I thankfully have not really experienced here.
Well, good.
And so
That's
been really good.
I'm glad to hear
to
that.
just rest on the fact that like I'm surrounded by fathers that are just doing a great job.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
In our last few minutes here, where are you going? So I'll just tell everybody the weekend
Mm-hmm.
of May 20th and 21st. That'll be Kyle's last weekend. We're going to have some receptions after.
Yes.
There will be cake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always a big fan of cakes with people's faces on them, but nobody else on our parish staff thinks that's a good idea. So there probably will not be a cake. Just know that if I were in charge of this parish, if I were the pastor,
Right.
I would make a cake with Kyle's face on it. But anyway,
If you were the Amanda at this
that
parish,
probably would not. That probably will not. Would not
Right.
happen. Okay, so May 21st.
May 21st
happens. You pack up your room,
Mm-hmm.
and what are you doing? Where are you going?
I'm gonna go on retreat first thing because it's kind of standard for a seminarian
That's
to go on
normal.
retreat. And I have not done that this year.
Yeah, you actually haven't had that opportunity.
Yeah, it's taken its toll.
He's been in the trenches.
Deep in the Amazon jungle. of
So
St.
you go on
Francis
a
Xavier.
retreat, and that'll be like a
Silent retreat. I'm gonna go
5 days, 8 days.
I think it's closer to 10 days.
Oh, good. Giddy up.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's gonna be real fun. And after that, I go to Tulsa. I'm gonna stay at St. Mary's Catholic Church.
The Church of St. Mary.
Church of St. Mary.
Here we go.
Did you stay there? Is that right?
I lived there
You lived
for 6 years, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, while Bishop
while I
Kelly.
was at Bishop Kelly. Yeah, so the pastor there is Father Stuart Crevcore, who many people in Payne County will remember from his days at St. John's.
I'm going to stay with him and his associate, and then seminarian Joey Griggs.
Oh, Joey Griggs was here
was here.
summer of 2021.
And Joey and I are going to be assigned to St. Francis Xavier Hospital, doing hospital
One
ministry.
St. Francis Xavier to another.
Yeah.
A lot of people think St. Francis Hospital in Tulsa is named after Francis of Assisi.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give in to the lie.
Not true.
In fact, there's a statue right on the corner, and it's Francis Xavier holding out the cross, and it looks a heck of a lot like the statue that we have in our church.
Mm-hmm.
Him there with the cross. Okay, and then
so
then you'll do a summer of hospital ministry.
Not sure what that looks like
That
yet.
makes you excited or nervous or something in the middle.
Something in the middle.
Walking into people's rooms and praying with them and bringing them Holy Communion and having people say, "Get out. I don't want you here."
Yeah.
Or
Kind of.
you never know what's on the
yeah,
other side of
never
that
know.
door.
Yeah, I guess I'll be ready for it when I get there. I don't know.
It's kind of thing, and this is what every seminarian, part of their seminary formation is they do a summer as a hospital.
There's no point in getting freaked out about it now. So
Yeah, you just do it.
yeah,
You just do it.
gonna go in.
Okay,
do
and
it.
then what?
And then I head back to seminary in August.
Giddy up.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Kyle has been, as many of you have said, and I think some of you are like, I see notes sometimes. I don't go through his mailbox. I just see that there's mail in his mailbox. It looks handwritten. That's the extent. Thank you for all the money though. When I open up Kyle's envelopes. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
Thank you.
But anyway, Kyle has been, just an extraordinary blessing. I've just kind of challenging in a good way. He brings these kind of certain skills from his previous life. Musically, I think has added a ton to the life of the parish. And then, quite frankly, we've had some staff turnover and all kinds of stuff. And Kyle is like, okay, I'm jumping in on that. Anyway, it's just been. We still have 3 more weeks, but it's just been an extraordinary blessing. So we wanted to bring him on the show and let him say his piece. But anyway, if you see Kyle around in the next few weeks, say your goodbyes. And it's not forever.
Right.
We're still his home parish.
I'll be around.
But the year is coming to an end.
As is this podcast.
As is this podcast. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. Happy Easter.